Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be talking about strings, capos and picks, and a question that I get a lot over on TikTok and also in the YouTube comments is which strings, picks and capos do I use personally. So we'll start off with strings, and before I show any of these I just want to say this is not sponsored in any way by any of these brands. These are just the actual, these are the pieces of gear that I use. So I have quite a strong opinion that these Elixir strings, these Elixir NanoWeb guitar strings, in my opinion, are the best strings you should be using for an acoustic guitar. So it would be different for an electric guitar, although on my electric guitars I do also use Elixir strings. So the reason I think that these are so much better than any of the other, literally any other brand of strings is, well, first off, they're coated, and that's not unique to Elixir, but I don't know how they coat them. I know that they use Gore-Tex with their coating, and I think they're the only company that's allowed to do that. I think it's like patented or however you say it. So because of the way that they're coating their strings, they literally sound the same from when you put on the strings to when they snap. So to show you this, and what reminded me to make this video was, this is a mandolin that hasn't been played since 2015. So I did a video playing this mandolin on TikTok last week, I believe. So this has been in my parents' attic for 8 years, okay? And it's got Elixir strings on it. And the strings, so I'm more talking about the sort of wound strings here, because obviously the metal strings, you're normally your B and your E string, or on the mandolin, the A and the E string, they're gonna go off a little bit. But these sound exactly the same as when I put them on, and even this one started to sort of unwind a bit, one of the D strings on this, but this literally hadn't been played in 8 years, and it'd been sat in an attic, in a case, but in an attic, and the strings still sound the same. So for me, that's the first reason that I only use the Elixir strings. But another big reason that I use them is if I'm ever recording in a recording studio, the way that they coat these strings, so I've got loads of string ends in my guitar, but the way that they coat these strings means that there's very, very little sort of sliding noise when you're sliding your finger up and down. So if you're using uncoated strings, when you're sliding your fingers down, you're going to get quite a big sort of sliding noise. So I think if you pair the fact that they sound the same from when you put them on to when they break, and that together, it's reason enough to use the Elixir strings. But I have tried quite a few other sets of coated strings. I've used D'Addario coated strings, and none of them, they all just, I would say within a month or two of me playing them, they start losing their brightness and they start going a bit dead. Okay, so moving on to guitar picks next. I only use, for strumming, these 0.73 Jim Dunlop picks. I'll put a picture up on the screen here just now so you can see them as well. But these picks are Jim Dunlop max grip 0.73 picks, I should say. And because of the kind of grip that they've got, I used to have a real problem with the kind of Tortex picks that you've maybe seen or played before, the kind of plastic looking ones. They would slide out my fingers as I was playing. So I think 0.73 for me is the sweet spot for strumming, and also you can still get a pretty decent tone out of playing, lead sort of parts as well. But the material that these max grip picks are made out of, and the grip coupled with the 0.73, just for me makes the perfect pick for strumming. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about capos. So I normally use a G7th capo, and this is actually an electric guitar capo, but it works completely fine on the acoustic guitar. But the thing with capos is there's this costs a lot more than this kind of capo, which is like a spring, kind of trigger capo. I could not even tell you what brand this is because it was the cheapest spring capo on Amazon when I bought it. But this would cost a lot more than that spring capo, but is it worth it? No, it's not. I don't think it is. So the one thing that's better with this, and the reason that I use it normally, is because you can adjust how much tension you want on the strings when you put the capo on. So I think one thing that a lot of us will notice quite a lot when we put a capo on is the guitar can go out of tune. So that is partly to do with the intonation, but if it's pushing too hard down, I find that it kind of pulls the strings out of tune a wee bit. So it's good for that. I also find if you need to do a quick capo release during a track, if you're going to, I actually do that every so often with some of the people that I play with. I have to take the capo off. I find that surprisingly this is actually quicker than the spring capos, because sometimes if the spring's quite tough in the capo, it can be a bit sort of awkward to take off the capo. So I think the G7s are the best, but these spring capos are completely fine as well. And is it worth spending an extra, honestly it could be probably £40 more expensive to get the G7th capo? No, definitely not. And I still use this quite a lot of the time. The G7th capo, I'll maybe use it at home and then I forget to put it back in my gigging sort of guitar bag, and I just end up using this all the time. So I've used this in recording studios, I've used this on tours all around the world. You don't need to spend £50 on a capo. These are completely fine. I think this was £5 off Amazon. Okay, so just to reiterate again, none of these items are sponsored or anything like that, but if I was going to really strongly recommend any of those pieces of gear to you, it would be the Elixir Strings. So if you're someone that doesn't break guitar strings a lot, then if you were to just put on your cheaper sets of strings, you can get a set of strings for £5, $8, whatever it is, it's worth spending the sort of £15 to £20 or $25 to $30 on these Elixir Strings, because you're going to get a set of strings that are enjoyable to play for you for probably 2 years. If you don't want to change them, you wouldn't have to. Okay, but with the mandolin that I showed earlier, you're talking 8 years of the same tone as when you put them on. And I personally have never played another set of strings that have lasted for me more than a few weeks without going dead. So I would really, really strongly recommend these Elixir Strings. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.